Imagine a world where wars aren't fought with armies, but with contracts, where nations are conquered, not through invasion, but through debt. This isn't science fiction. It's the world of economic hitmen. These shadowy figures operate in the gray areas of global finance, using manipulation and coercion to shape economies in favor of powerful corporations and governments. The goal? To create a global system of control with developing nations trapped in a cycle of debt and dependency. The term economic hitman was popularized by John Perkins, who exposed the system in his book, Confessions of an Economic Hitman. Perkins described himself as a professional convincing countries to take on massive loans for infrastructure projects. These loans, often from the World Bank or IMF, came with hefty interest rates. The projects seemed beneficial: new highways, power plants, and schools. But the reality was far more sinister. These projects were intentionally overpriced, ensuring the country would struggle to repay the debt. When they defaulted, economic hitmen would swoop in with a plan. The country would be forced to sell off valuable resources or privatize public services, aligning its policies with the interests of multinational corporations and the countries backing them. Economic hitmen became the architects of modern neocolonialism, building empires without firing a single shot. But how does the system work? And who are the key players? Economic hitmen operate as part of a larger network that includes governments, financial institutions, and multinational corporations. They target vulnerable countries, those rich in natural resources, but struggling economically. The initial approach is often friendly, with promises of prosperity and development. The hitman might present glossy presentations showing how a new dam or airport will transform the local economy. The leaders of these countries, often eager to modernize, sign on the dotted line, unaware of the trap being set. Once the loans are issued, the conditions start to change. Local companies are rarely involved in the projects. Instead, they're carried out by massive multinational corporations, funneling the money back to the lender's home country. The infrastructure is often designed not to benefit the local population, but to facilitate the extraction of resources or the movement of goods for export. Meanwhile, the country's debt balloons and its citizens see little improvement in their quality of life. If the country's leaders resist these tactics, the consequences can be severe. Perkins described how economic hitmen are backed by the jackals, covert operatives who use more aggressive methods. Leaders who refuse to play ball may face blackmail, sabotage, or even assassination. Perkins pointed to the deaths of leaders like Jaime Roldos of Ecuador and Omar Torrijos of Panama, both of whom died in mysterious plane crashes after opposing U.S. policies, as examples of the lengths to which these forces will go. The ultimate goal of economic hitmen is control, by indebting nations and forcing them to comply with neoliberal policies. They create a system where wealth flows from the global south to the global north. Resources like oil, minerals, and timber are extracted at low cost, while local populations bear the environmental and social consequences. Public services like water and electricity are privatized, often leading to higher costs and reduced access for ordinary citizens. And through trade agreements and structural adjustment programs, these countries are locked into a system that prioritizes the interests of corporations over their own people. One of the most striking aspects of this system is its invisibility. Unlike traditional colonialism, which involved physical occupation and direct control. This form of economic domination is conducted through contracts, boardrooms, and financial institutions. It's a form of control that's easy to deny and hard to resist, cloaked in the language of progress and development. Over time, the ripple effects of these practices have devastated local economies and cultures. Communities that once thrived on small-scale farming or local industries are dismantled, replaced by corporate-dominated systems that prioritize exports over sustainability. Environmental degradation often follows, as foreign corporations exploit natural resources with little regard for the long-term impact on the land or its people. The result is a cycle of dependency that's nearly impossible to escape, with countries forced to rely on further loans to stay afloat. But not everyone is willing to stay silent. In recent years, activists, economists, and whistleblowers have begun to shine a light on the practices of economic hitmen and their impact on the global economy. Countries like Ecuador, Bolivia, and Venezuela have pushed back against international financial institutions refusing to pay what they call odious debt, loans taken out by corrupt regimes that did not benefit the population. These acts of defiance have sparked fierce debates about the morality of debt and the power dynamics of the global economy. The legacy of economic hitmen is complex. Their actions have contributed to massive inequality, environmental destruction, and political instability. But their exposure has sparked a growing awareness of the hidden forces shaping our world. As more people learn about this system, the hope is that they can demand change, holding corporations, governments, and financial institutions accountable for their actions. Today, the tactics of economic hitmen have evolved. With the rise of globalization and technology, new methods of economic coercion have emerged. Digital platforms, data collection, and surveillance are becoming tools of control, enabling a new generation of economic hitmen to operate on an even larger scale. At the same time, resistance movements are growing, challenging the status quo and advocating for a more just and equitable world. The story of economic hitmen is a cautionary tale about the dangers of unchecked power and the consequences of prioritizing profit over people. It's a reminder that the systems shaping our world are not inevitable. They're the result of choices made by individuals and institutions. And while those choices have often caused harm, they also leave room for change. As we uncover the truth about economic hitmen, we're left with a question: how can we build a global economy that serves everyone, not just the powerful few? The answer isn't easy, but it starts with awareness. Because in the end, the most powerful weapon against manipulation is knowledge. Like and subscribe for more content, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. Together, we can make a difference and push for a fairer, more equitable world.